Hey everyone, and welcome back to House of Mystery. Today we look at one of my favorite places, the mysterious Winchester Mansion. Now, I say it's one of my favorite places because I've watched a lot of videos about it, I've studied it, I've taught about it, but I've never actually gotten to go there, but it is on my list. I really want to see this really mysterious place because there's so much story that goes with it, and it just seems like a really cool place to. So before we get into the actual mystery part, I think it's important to understand the historical context of how this house really came about. If you know anything about haunted places, it's a lot of times on those sort of TV shows and things like that. But I would say more than being haunted, I would just call it really mysterious from what it is to how it was made and kind of everything in between. But the Winchester Mansion is located in San Jose, California. Now, it started as a normal, small, unfurnished farmhouse when it was first bought by Sarah Winchester, and it was transformed into this labyrinth of a mansion. Now, Sarah married William Winchester in 1862. He was an heir and part owner of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, as we all know, the Winchester rifle. William and Sarah had one child together, Annie, but unfortunately she only lived to be like a month old, and she died in 1866. And then William, Sarah's husband, died in 1881, and she was just really overcome with grief. And that really goes into the story because it is a theory that goes along with maybe why she built this mansion the way that she did. Like all mysterious things, there are theories that we may never be able to prove. But when you look at, as we are going to, you look at how this mansion is built, how it was constructed, what it contains. You just want to say, why? Why would anybody do this? And grief is one of those theories. So after they died, people speculate really what happened next. A lot of people confirm and say that because of her grief, she met with a medium, and this medium told her that she needed to build this house that was all of these things to appease the ghost of all the people that had been killed by Winchester rifles, and that if she ever stopped the construction, they would come to haunt her. Some say that she chose to do this in San Jose, California, because her doctor had told her that it would be good for her to move west. She had rheumatoid arthritis, and that maybe it would just be a better environment for her health. Now, while some say the medium told her to build this house the way that she did to appease the ghost, others would say that she built it the way that she did to confuse them because she felt haunted by them, and she thought by building staircases to nowhere and doors that led nowhere, and windows that just were built into the floor and different things like that, that maybe she could confuse the ghost and they wouldn't bother her. I do think that these stories catch on the most because they are the most intriguing. It's really cool to tell and hear a story about someone who built it this way because of some sort of spiritual or paranormal activity. But others just say that it was a distraction for her grief. Some say that it was the architectural design of just trying new things, and that it was a hobby of hers to do this. She had a lot of money. When her husband died, she had about $20 million that she inherited, and 50% of the Winchester company. And so she had a lot of money. She had a lot of wood at her disposal in the San Jose area. And so she just did it for architectural benefit and as a hobby. It just doesn't quite make as an intriguing of a story as the whole ghost element. So while some may say it's just a good story that she built this to appease the ghost and connect it to the deaths of everyone who had died from the Winchester rifle, there is some validation to that story. People who worked on the house said that she was just kind of a very strange character. A lot of the architectural design that she used, she kept very hidden. It said that when one group or company would work on one room, she would not let them know what another company was doing in another room. Like, she didn't want to share so that nobody knew what was going on. So she did apparently do a lot of things that maybe didn't quite make sense to a lot of people. So to get to how she actually designed the house, again, she made doors to nowhere. There were trap doors. There were walled off windows in places. There were upside down pillars and columns, a floating foundation. There was a conservatory that had a drain that led to the kitchen. There were curved staircases that led to nowhere and had very tiny steps. Just a lot of things that really didn't make any sense to anybody else and really devalued the home, quite honestly. But she had the money and it was her house. And so when she told people to build it, they built it. She actually ended up using about 20,000 gallons of paint to cover the wood. While she had this redwood at her disposal that was very easy to get to in the area, she didn't really like the way that it looked. So she was always very particular that it got painted over. This house was originally 7 stories. It had 161 rooms. There were 13 bathrooms, but only one apparently that actually worked because of the spirits. In case they decided that they wanted to haunt a bathroom, she wanted to confuse them and they wouldn't know which one was actually going to be used. There were 2 basements, 3 elevators, 10,000 panes of glass, and there were 47 fireplaces. Now, despite the haphazard building of the house, it had a lot of luxurious things for that time period. Now, the building started in about 1884 and continued until she died in 1922. But there was, and of course at the time this was a luxury, there was indoor plumbing and there were these gas lights and all of these things that people didn't have access to, these chandeliers and things that, as crazy as the house was, made elements of it very luxurious. Now, we mentioned this floating floor before, and actually that is what helped save the house when the earthquake of 1904 struck. The house suffered severe damage, but the floating floor, they say, is actually what saved it from crumbling altogether. But it did make it that original 7 stories. It took it down to a 4-story place that you would see today. And speaking of seeing it today, you can actually visit this. After she died, there was no mention of this house in her will, although she left everything else to her niece. And because of the way it was built, even though there was so much square footage, it was really deemed worthless. And someone ended up buying it for about $135,000. It is estimated that she spent about $5 or $5.5 million renovating, I guess you could say, the house before she died. Once it was sold, it was turned into a place that you could tour, and you can still tour it today. It's known as the Winchester Mystery House. It is actually listed on the U.S. National Park Service as a historically registered place. So I think that that's pretty cool that it's actually has some historical value and also just some cool mystery elements to it as well. It's actually very popular. You can go to the website. It offers all kinds of different tours. You can see the cost when it's open. I think they have some special things for like Halloween. They have ASL tours. So it's really cool. That's why I say I really want to check it out because I've always heard that it is like a top place to visit. I think it also has really good reviews on TripAdvisor. Really, to me, I appreciate the mystery and I think it is super cool, but it does make me sad because really any reason that she would have done this, whether it be the grief or the guilt from the people who died from the Winchester rifle, or because she was afraid of the ghost, that's all kind of a very sad existence to me. She did live out the rest of her days with no other children or anything. And so I do think she was very lonely, but we do have this house now to show for what she did. I'm sure there are lots of architectural elements that can be appreciated if you really like design and things like that. But let me know if you've ever been. I would love to hear like a first person account. Is it really worth it? What were the best things about it? Do you know anything more that I haven't mentioned here as to why maybe the Winchester Mansion is so mysterious, or what tales have actually been proven true? But I would find that really interesting to learn more. As always, if you have made it to this point, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there is any other place you would like to hear about. Have a great day, and as always, stay mysterious.